Welcome to The Great Experience, a world of inspiring stories and life-changing experiences. Here, you'll hear stories of love, stories of laughter, stories of joy, but also you'll hear stories of pain, anger, and disappointment. And today, we have a story like no other for you. A story you've not heard before, a story of travel, a story of service, and this is The Great Experience. We are talking to a doctor, a traveler, a person who loves to discover and explore different cultures and also who enjoys helping and serving other people. Sisole kunjani?
Ndiyaphila Nkosi, but kunjani kuwe?
Ndiyaphila khona. I should have said doctor.
No, it's fine. Ngizolele right.
So, let me start like this. You grow up in Sterkspruit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that and
Yeah, okay. Good.
Sterkspruit, and you decide to become a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Which one came first? Was it traveling or being a doctor?
No, the doctor came first.
Why?
Because, remember, I come from a typical, South African upbringing. It was not we're not rich by any standards.
Mm-hmm.
So, but because I excelled academically, I was then, pushed into the medical but obviously my mom thought, and I also felt I wanted to be a doctor. So that just automatically came because of my academic abilities. So I went into to become a doctor. And by the time I qualified as a doctor, I had never been anywhere outside of South Africa because we couldn't afford it. You see, holiday, traveling outside was a luxury that I just
most
couldn't.
South Africans, it's a world-known thing. Not I'm saying world intentionally, not well known. So it's a world-known thing that South Africans don't actually travel.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. It's not something, because you save whatever, penny you have for something else that's more important than traveling.
So there's so many different fields. What brings you into what you're in? What makes you to say, okay, I want to be a radiologist?
Well, it's because, I think because I'm always, I'm interested in looking at things. Maybe even the traveling comes from that. I just like looking at new things. So if I'm a radiologist, I'm literally looking at images every day. Okay. And even though this could be the same image of the brain, but there's always going to be something that's distorted or wrong.
I see.
So that's what makes it interesting, because no 2 days are the same for me. So that's why I love radiology. So I work with a lot of looking, and stuff.
Okay. Initially, I thought when I first saw radiologists, I thought it was like radio, airwaves.
No.
Why would you have radio and the medical? But a friend of mine explained it a bit. Mm-hmm. So because you love discovering, you love looking at new things, so that brought up the traveling thing.
So the traveling, obviously, it was something. Actually, my younger sister was the first person to travel in my family. After she had also qualified as a chemical engineering. So she first went to Dubai, and she came back saying how good it was and everything, So I think because we're so close, we're very close, so it sparked an interest in me. Mm-hmm. So that was actually the first time I traveled out of South Africa. It was with her.
Okay, where did you guys go to?
So we went to Morocco, we went to Portugal, and we went to Barcelona, Spain.
Okay.
So it was, and I'm so grateful for that, because that just set the tone for the traveling, because we love, it was just 3 different places.
Yeah.
And 3 different, the people we met were just completely different in all 3 countries. And for me, it was like, after that,
So how long has it been since that trip?
That was like in 2017? No, 2016. No, my first trip was in 2016.
Okay.
And I had been working for a while, mind you.
So do you need a lot of money to travel?
You do, unfortunately. Not a lot, but it's different because Europe is cheaper to travel to compared to Africa. Yes.
How? That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, but it's really true. You can go to Europe for what you could pay for flights within Africa, return flights, and this is without. I'm telling you.
That doesn't make sense.
I'm telling you, that's the reality of it.
You're traveling within the borders of the continent. It's more expensive to go out of the continent. That makes no sense.
Because one, I don't know if it's our airlines, they're not so well developed, but most of the time, even though I want to go somewhere in Africa, I still have to first start in Dubai and connect in Dubai and come back to Africa.
That's weird.
No, that's the reality of it.
It is a reality, but it's a weird reality. But I also want to look at it, maybe it's because we don't have enough airlines in Africa,
That's
African-owned airlines. As a result, now each flight has to go land home, then come back. Maybe that's what makes it more expensive. What has that done to you, traveling?
Oh gosh, I think it has just opened up my world so much. You know, how I see things, how I don't know, it like you say, humanizes everyone, that we're literally just the same ultimately. We may be in different, but sometimes I can't even articulate it, but it's an experience. You just have to do it for yourself.
How different is South Africa for you? Infrastructure, government, tourism, culture, development, compared to some of the countries you've been to?
Well, South Africa actually fares very well compared to a lot of countries in terms of tourism and development. Yes, there are areas I wish were more like our province in terms of tourism. I feel like there's a lot. Hopefully, if one day it could be developed. Like, I'll make an example. We went to Portugal, and then we traveled out of Lisbon to a small town called Sintra, and there's just a castle there. It's an old castle, and I don't even know who was living there, but it's part of the excursion, and people go there daily. But Tina, we've got gold here. We've got Nelson Mandela. We should be having, and I remember thinking as I was sitting there, we should be having similar tours going to Ekun.
Yeah.
Every single day. So, I mean, we fare well, but yes, we have the nice thing, maybe Europe, you would be the trains that are very fast, reliable, always there every 5 minutes, safe as well, which we don't have there. Yeah, but in terms of the hospitality, we're actually still quite great.
And your biggest challenge, or anything that could say, this was the biggest challenge for me, or a scare, this terrified me in one of my trips?
Well, actually, I don't know if I should love my recent one last year. I went to Mexico. It was the first time actually this has happened to me, and I've read stories when you get to the airport with the security and you have problems. And it was mainly because I think I was a black female, so there was probably an element where I might be bringing in something, you see. So I ended up sitting at the airport for 4 hours. I had someone who was fetching me, who had come to fetch me, from the airport. And they wanted me to, at first they said it wasn't the visa, but I had a visa, everything had approved, because you can't go to Mexico without a visa. Yeah. But anyway, they ended up detaining me for like 4 hours. It was terrible. My first time, I was traumatized. I remember actually after 4 hours thinking, I wouldn't mind going back home because I don't know. I travel alone now because my sister is passed away. So I actually go, but now what I do is that I link up with groups. So this time around, there were ladies mostly they were from the US. So we read the same book, spoke to the author, but the book was set in Mexico City. So we went to meet in Mexico City and then we explored Mexico from there.
So you started traveling with your sister. Now you're traveling alone.
Yes.
When she left, what did that do to you
Yeah, when she
as a co-traveler? I get the sister part, just as a co-traveler.
Oh gosh, it was bad. It was paralyzing. I didn't travel, I think, for 2 years after she passed on because I just didn't know what am I gonna do. You know, it was always nice to have someone, you know, to reference things with, you know, even if you get lost or whatever. But I had to overcome that because it's so much more than the fear that I had of going on alone. And I've had incredible trips alone. You realize even your problems are minimal sometimes when you see how bad things could be.
Yeah.
You know, that side. You know, I've been to Senegal and you realize you meet people. I've met this woman. She is the fourth wife of this man. And for her, economic freedom requires her. There's no education, unfortunately. She has to be, so they live in this stacked house, and it's a common thing. So a rich man will have 4 wives. So if you don't reach 4, you're still not that rich. You see?
What?
That's the reality there. And she has to share everything. She relies on the husband, and you know, and I'm grateful that I had a choice to study and I can still be independent, have my own space. You know, it's the little things sometimes. But it does. But that's the reality for some other people.
What's the worst experience for you go traveling, and what's the best experience since you started traveling?
Okay, in the few trips I've made, okay. So the worst one I think was the Mexico at the airport when I got in. But you know, to be fair, after I left the airport, Mexico was actually great. The people were kind. They were just nothing like what I met with the people I met at the airport. But that was the worst one, and obviously, but it was, I'm grateful for it. It was a wake-up call because when I speak to other people, they're like, you know, you're gonna go, this happens in a lot of places. So I sort of now have something to draw back on, and I have that experience, and I know what I'm gonna do if I were to be faced with that situation, because I ended up actually having to go to the embassy and report it. Because also, yeah, it was just not pleasant. I don't wish it on anyone. So that was the worst I've had. And then the best is difficult to pick one, but I think my birthday, on the morning of my birthday in 2022, I was in Namibia, in the Namib Desert, in Dead Flay. So I got there. Our guide got us there early, at around 5 before sunrise. So we walked for like 1.5 kilometers and we got to Dead Flay. And obviously you're just looking at trees that are 900 years old, and it's so quiet and it's beautiful, and you've got sands and sands, I mean heaps of mountains of sands. That was a beautiful, and I watched sunrise there, and there was a herd of these wild, I think it's goats, white goats, that apparently are so rare. They came out while we were just sitting, and it was just a few of us. I think there were like 5 of us, you know, and they just went across the whole place. That was amazing. No, that was amazing. It was definitely one of those you're thinking, I'm so happy to be alive right now. But yeah, I've been lucky to have incredible experiences in most countries, even with the food, I've discovered a lot of music. I love Senegalese music now. So it's a very enriching experience.
So how many countries have you been to?
Not many.
I keep saying 28. I keep saying 28.
No,
how many actually?
Far less. So Namibia is definitely there.
Namibia?
Because I went repeatedly to Namibia, and I've been to Senegal.
Senegal, yes.
I've been to, so it's Namibia, it's Senegal. So going out, I've been to Malaysia, which was beautiful. Singapore. I've been to Morocco. Spain, Barcelona specifically, and then Portugal. Belgium.
Oh.
The Netherlands. And France. Yeah, and I've been to, I spent a day a whole day in Turkey last year as well.
Turkey.
Which
So
I want
that's
to go
like-
back.
That's
and-
like what? 11, 12? There's also Mexico. Mexico.
Oh, Mexico, yes.
So that's like 12 or 13.
In Mexico, sorry.
Okay. Also,
Yeah.
you're forgetting Mexico because of the experience.
No,
No, you've been to
man.
Mexico,
No,
don't do
no,
that.
I've been to Mexico and I really had a good time.
Yeah.
It was really nice. So yeah.
Okay. Last question. Where do you draw your personal strength? You're a doctor, you see so many things. Where do you draw your own strength?
Oh gosh, I think obviously my faith. I'm a Christian, you know, and I love the scripture. I think for me, my scripture that gets me through is I think it's Matthew 28. I'm not sure, but anyway, it says, "Come to me, all who are, you know, tired, heavy laden, and I will give you rest. My yoke is easy." And I think for me, that line, "My yoke is easy," is to say that life will happen. Whether you're a doctor, you're not a doctor, or whoever, life happens. And that's the yoke that we're going to have to deal with. But because I've got something that I anchor on, which is God, He makes it light sometimes, you know, all the time. So I literally have to just give it to Him. And I'm able to get through everything. So there's nothing you can't get through. So I believe it even for myself, that I can, everything.
Before we close, Zadok, I'd like for you to say something inspiring, something encouraging. Somebody who's listening, who says, I can relate to Doc. Okanye, ungumntu omnyama just like me, and what you're saying is inspiring. What would you say to that? Umuntu who says, ungugqirha, and yet you are traveling the world as well. And I'd like to do that. I'd like to do both, actually.
Yeah, which is possible, obviously, for anyone to do that. So there is a quote we had, my sister and I actually, we both loved it. We had it from the late Maya Angelou, the American playwright and poet. So it's from Terence, who was a Roman playwright. But it goes, when it's translated, it goes like, I am human, and nothing human is alien to me. Well, there's a Roman words for it. People can search it up. Original. Also, it Homo sum humane. Nili ame alienam buto. So I am human, and think nothing human is alien to me. So basically it means anyone. So anything is possible for anyone. Anyone. So I grew up wherever I grew up, but yes, there are places I see myself that I never even dreamed of being inside of, you see. So, yeah, anyone. As long as you are human, if another human being has done it, you can also do it.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah.
God, again,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Doc, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.